Yes, top of the AM sauce. You know the vibes. You're rocking out with yours truly, Showtime Sizzle, hottest in the game. This is that Showtime Shy News Media Empire. You know, like we've been doing, consistency kills. They try to follow, but they can't pay the bills. Yes, we are going to start off like we always do, that morning source. But like I said, this is a media conglomerate empire. We are doing different things, many different programs, sports, entertainment, news, boxing, basketball, football, you name it, the source delivers it. But let's start off this morning with some righteous words of wisdom. Yes, keep continuing to pay attention and act like you don't notice the growth, act like you don't notice the blessings that the Lord is bestowing upon this brand, this legacy. Just continue to watch us keep marching. You know the vibes.
Meditation. In the book of Revelation, we see that God and Jesus are the founders, Revelation 21:2, and kings, Revelation 22:3, of the New Jerusalem. The glory and the beauty of the city come from God, Revelation 21:11-27, and God's will is done, Revelation 22:3. The city symbolizes the people that love Jesus and God, have devoted themselves to them, and serve them, Revelation 21:9 and 22-3. In the prayer taught by Jesus, our Father in heaven, God's will has a central place, Matthew 6:10. Your kingdom come, your will be done. This touches upon the core of Christian entrepreneurship. Who is the boss and whose will is done? I was confronted hard with myself and the topic of authority, ego, and God as boss when I was in my first year working for CBMC the Netherlands, a missionary movement of and for Christian business leaders. I had in mind an ambitious entrepreneurial agenda. But that year I experienced something I had never encountered before. I was not able to realize my personal goals and ambitions within my job. This felt uncomfortable. I was engulfed by uncertainties and fears. How am I going to explain this? How will people evaluate me? What will the consequences be? I decided to go on a retreat, to fast, and to listen to God. It turned out to be a wonderful special experience. During the retreat, I felt God saying to me, "Who are you actually working for?" I said, "For you, of course. I'm working in your kingdom now. As managing director of CBMC, am I not?" And God said, "I'm not sure. If you work in my kingdom, sure, I'm the king. Then isn't it my decision to set out a course and determine what we're going to do? But I get the feeling that you are busy realizing your own plans and your own ambitions, and you ask me to help you build your kingdom. Your fear and uncertainty originate in the fact that you feel your reputation is at stake. If it was all about my plans, my reputation would be at stake, but this is not what you're concerned about right now." It was humiliating how God unraveled me during this retreat, brought my way of thinking to light, and wanted to restore the rightful relations. After this experience, my daily prayer changed from, "Lord, bless me today in my business work," into, "Lord, what do you want me to do for your business?" Or even more practical, "Where do you want me to invest your profit next year? How do you want to solve the argument we have with our suppliers?" It is with this attitude that God can use us to build His city and to realize His will. Our company is not an end in itself, but an instrument of God that may contribute to the good life He envisions. Question for the day. Who is the boss in your company and whose will is being done? I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven, prepared as a bride, adorned for her husband. And He carried me away in the Spirit to a great and high mountain, and showed me that great city, the holy Jerusalem, descending out of heaven from God. And I saw no temple therein, for the Lord God Almighty and the Lamb are the temple of it. And the city had no need of the sun, neither of the moon to shine in it. For the glory of God did lighten it, and the Lamb is the light thereof. And the nations of them which are saved shall walk in the light of it. And the kings of the earth do bring their glory and honor into it. And the gates of it shall not be shut at all by day, for there shall be no night there. And they shall bring the glory and honor of the nations into it. And there shall be no more curse. but the throne of God and of the Lamb shall be in it, and his servants shall serve him. After this manner therefore pray ye, Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth as it is in heaven. This is the Bible in 1 Year Express, day 24. How to listen to God. Suppose I go to the doctor and say, Doctor, I have a lot of problems. I twisted my knee. My eyes itch. My fingers swell. I've got backache. Then having got through my list of complaints, I look at my watch and say, goodness me, time's getting on. I must be off. The doctor might say, hang on. Do you want to hear what I have to say? If we only speak to God and never take time to listen, we make the same mistake. We do all the talking. We don't actually listen to him. But our relationship with God is meant to be a two-way conversation. When I'm praying, I find it helpful to write down thoughts that come into my mind that may come from the Spirit of God. In a media-saturated age, we have many voices that come to us on TV, radio, the internet, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, email, text message. We have the voices of family, friends, colleagues. Sometimes we have the voice of Satan tempting us to disbelieve God's word and to doubt that God has our best interests at heart. How do you hear the voice of God in the midst of the noise and distractions of life? Listen to God's voice in the scriptures. The main way in which God speaks to us is through what he's already spoken in the scriptures, his teaching and commands. As you read the Bible, pray that God will speak to you and that you will hear his voice. Don't try to figure out everything on your own. Listen for God's voice in everything you do, everywhere you go. He's the one who will keep you on track. Learning verses in the Bible is one of the ways you can write God's word on the tablet of your heart. Dover and I learned these verses on our honeymoon, and we've tried to live by them. First, be guided by love and loyalty. These should be our guiding principles in every decision we make. Love and loyalty should be deeply embedded in our hearts. Loyalty means, for example, speaking about others as if they were present. We establish trust in those who are present by our loyalty to those who are not present. If you live like this, God promises you a good reputation in God's eyes and in the eyes of people. Second, run to God, run from evil. We are to trust in God rather than becoming arrogant and thinking that we're clever. Fear of God, in the sense of a healthy respect for him, should lead us to run to God, run from evil. God promises that this will bring health to your body and nourishment to your bones. In other words, there is a connection between the spiritual and the physical. Third, become a generous giver. It really matters what you do with your money. Give God the first and the best. That is the first part of your income, not the last. I have found this to be an extraordinary principle, that if you get your giving right, you discover the truth of the promise that God will supply all your needs. Your barns will be filled to overflowing, and your vats will brim over with new wine. Lord, help me not just to read your words, but to learn them, live by them, and to bring honor to your name. Listen to him. Listen to God through the words of Jesus. The words of Jesus are the words of God. God says, listen to him. When you read Jesus' words and take them to heart, you're listening to God. Jesus warns his disciples to expect attack. We're never going to avoid criticism. Twice in this passage, Jesus talks to his disciples about the suffering he's going to experience, explaining to them about the cross and resurrection. However, rather than listening to Jesus, Peter argues with him. Jesus' rebuke to Peter is of profound importance. In every key decision we take, we must ask ourselves whether we have in mind the concerns of God or human concerns. What Jesus is saying to Peter is the heart of his mission, and it has huge implications for all his followers. We're not to seek a life of comfort and security. Jesus said to his disciples, "Anyone who intends to come with me has to let me lead." You're not in the driver's seat. I am. Don't run from suffering. Embrace it. Follow me and I'll show you how. Self-help is no help at all. Self-sacrifice is the way, my way, to finding yourself, your true self. What kind of deal is it to get everything you want but lose yourself? What could you ever trade your soul for? Following Jesus involves denying yourself, taking up your cross and following him. This is the way to find life in all its fullness. Wealth, in one sense, is utterly pointless. Purpose in life is far more important than property or possessions. All the money in the world, all the success in the world, all the fame in the world, all the power in the world is nothing if you lose your soul and miss out on what life is all about. On the other hand, if you follow Jesus, surrender your life to him, you find the very purpose of life. The words of Jesus are extraordinarily powerful. There has never been a time when it's more important to listen to him than now. Jesus took Peter, James, and John up a high mountain. Jesus' appearance changed right before their eyes. Sunlight poured from his face. His clothes were filled with light. Then they realized that Moses and Elijah were also there in deep conversation with him. They heard God say, "This is my son, marked by my love, focus of my delight." Listen to him. As Moses and Elijah talked with Jesus, so you too can live a life talking with Jesus. Your experience may not be as visual or auditory as that of the disciples on the Mount of Transfiguration, but you too can know the presence of Jesus in your life. Through reading his words and meditating on them, you can experience a conversation with Jesus through the Holy Spirit. You can, in a sense, look into his face, which shines like the sun. You can fall down in worship. It can feel as if Jesus is actually touching you and saying to you, "Do not be afraid." And there are times when you may look up and see no one except Jesus. Lord, thank you that when I lose my life for you, I find it. Help me to listen to your voice and to follow you daily. Listen to God throughout your life. As Jacob came to the end of his life and looked back at all God's blessings, in spite of all the trials and difficulties, he worshipped as he leaned on the top of his staff. He recognized that God had led him throughout his life. It is an evocative picture of a person who's lived a life in close relationship with God, listening to him and his wisdom. He recalled how God spoke to him and gave him a vision for his life. He's able to say, "God has been my shepherd all my life." Jacob also recognized that God had led his son Joseph in an extraordinary way. Because Joseph had learned to listen to God, he was able to interpret Pharaoh's dreams, and as a result, he saw great blessing. Not only did he save the lives of God's people, he also saved the lives of all Egypt. As Jacob's life draws to a close, he blesses Joseph's sons, expressing his trust in God's promises and blessings for the future. When the writer of Hebrews comments on Jacob's life of faith, he focuses on this incident. By faith, Jacob, when he was dying, blessed each of Joseph's sons and worshipped as he leaned on the top of his staff. As he came to the end of his life, Jacob's trust in God did not peter out. He ended with a flourish of faith. Remain faithful in worship and listen to God throughout your life. Trust God to lead and guide the next generation, that they too will listen to the voice of the shepherd. Lord, thank you that you promised to lead me and speak to me. Help me to listen to you daily and throughout my life.
Pepper Ads. In Proverbs 3, verse 5, it says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart. In all your ways, submit to him." All your heart, all your ways. That means a wholehearted, total commitment to God. Are there things you are worried about in your life at the moment? Successes, worries, fears that you might need to recommit to God to make sure that they are and remain totally committed to God.
My son, forget not my law, but let thine heart keep my commandments. For length of days and long life and peace shall they add to thee. Let not mercy and truth forsake thee. Bind them about thy neck, write them upon the table of thine heart. So shalt thou find favor and good understanding in the sight of God and man. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. Be not wise in thine own eyes. Fear the Lord, and depart from evil. It shall be health to thy navel, and marrow to thy bones. Honor the Lord with thy substance, and with the first fruits of all thine increase. So shall thy barns be filled with plenty, and thy presses shall burst out with new wine. From that time forth began Jesus to show unto his disciples how that he must go unto Jerusalem, and suffer many things of the elders and chief priests and scribes, and be killed, and be raised again the third day. Then Peter took him and began to rebuke him, saying, Be it far from thee, Lord, this shall not be unto thee. But he turned and said unto Peter, Get thee behind me, Satan. Thou art an offense unto me, for thou savorest not the things that be of God, but those that be of men. Then said Jesus unto his disciples, If any man will come after me, let him deny himself, and take up his cross, and follow me. For whosoever will save his life shall lose it, and whosoever will lose his life for my sake shall find it. For what is a man profited if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Or what shall a man give in exchange for his soul? For the Son of Man shall come in the glory of his Father with his angels, and then he shall reward every man according to his works. Verily I say unto you, there be some standing here which shall not taste of death till they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom. And after 6 days Jesus taketh Peter, James, and John his brother, and bringeth them up into an high mountain apart, and was transfigured before them. And his face did shine as the sun, and his raiment was white as the light. And behold, there appeared unto them Moses and Elias talking with him. Then answered Peter and said unto Jesus, Lord, it is good for us to be here. If thou wilt, let us make here 3 tabernacles, one for thee, and one for Moses, and one for Elias. While he yet spake, behold, a bright cloud overshadowed them. And behold, a voice out of the cloud which said, This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Hear ye him. And when the disciples heard it, they fell on their face and were sore afraid. And Jesus came and touched them and said, Arise, and be not afraid. And when they had lifted up their eyes, they saw no man save Jesus only. And as they came down from the mountain, Jesus charged them, saying, Tell the vision to no man, until the Son of Man be risen again from the dead. And his disciples asked him, saying, Why then say the scribes that Elias must first come? And Jesus answered and said unto them, Elias truly shall first come, and restore all things. But I say unto you that Elias is come already, and they knew him not, but have done unto him whatsoever they listed. Likewise shall also the Son of Man suffer of them. Then the disciples understood that he spake unto them of John the Baptist. And there was no bread in all the land, for the famine was very sore, so that the land of Egypt and all the land of Canaan fainted by reason of the famine. And Joseph gathered up all the money that was found in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan, for the corn which they bought. And Joseph brought the money into Pharaoh's house. And when money failed in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan, all the Egyptians came unto Joseph and said, Give us bread, for why should we die in thy presence? For the money faileth. And Joseph said, Give your cattle, and I will give you for your cattle if money fail. And they brought their cattle unto Joseph, and Joseph gave them bread in exchange for horses, and for the flocks, and for the cattle of the herds, and for the asses. And he fed them with bread for all their cattle for that year. When that year was ended, they came unto him the second year, and said unto him, We will not hide it from my lord, how that our money is spent. My lord also hath our herds of cattle. There is not aught left in the sight of my lord, but our bodies and our lands. Wherefore shall we die before thine eyes, both we and our land? Buy us and our land for bread, and we and our land will be servants unto Pharaoh, and give us seed, that we may live and not die, that the land be not desolate. And Joseph bought all the land of Egypt for Pharaoh. For the Egyptians sold every man his field, because the famine prevailed over them. So the land became Pharaoh's. And as for the people, he removed them to cities from one end of the borders of Egypt even to the other end thereof. Only the land of the priests bought he not, for the priests had a portion assigned them of Pharaoh, and did eat their portion which Pharaoh gave them, wherefore they sold not their lands. Then Joseph said unto the people, Behold, I have bought you this day and your land for Pharaoh. Lo, here is seed for you, and ye shall sow the land. And it shall come to pass in the increase that ye shall give the fifth part unto Pharaoh, and 4 parts shall be your own, for seed of the field, and for your food, and for them of your households, and for food for your little ones. And they said, Thou hast saved our lives. Let us find grace in the sight of my Lord, and we will be Pharaoh's servants. And Joseph made it a law over the land of Egypt unto this day, that Pharaoh should have the 5th part, except the land of the priests only, which became not Pharaoh's. And Israel dwelt in the land of Egypt, in the country of Goshen. And they had possessions therein, and grew and multiplied exceedingly. And Jacob lived in the land of Egypt 17 years. So the whole age of Jacob was 147 years. And the time drew nigh that Israel must die. And he called his son Joseph, and said unto him, If now I have found grace in thy sight, put, I pray thee, thy hand under my thigh, and deal kindly and truly with me. Bury me not, I pray thee, in Egypt, but I will lie with my fathers, and thou shalt carry me out of Egypt, and bury me in their burying place. And he said, I will do as thou hast said. And he said, Swear unto me. And he sware unto him. And Israel bowed himself upon the bed's head. Genesis 48. And it came to pass after these things, that one told Joseph, Behold, thy father is sick. And he took with him his 2 sons, Manasseh and Ephraim. And one told Jacob, and said, Behold, thy son Joseph cometh unto thee. And Israel strengthened himself, and sat upon the bed. And Jacob said unto Joseph, God Almighty appeared unto me at Luz in the land of Canaan, and blessed me, and said unto me, Behold, I will make thee fruitful, and multiply thee, and I will make of thee a multitude of people, and will give this land to thy seed after thee for an everlasting possession. And now thy 2 sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, which were born unto thee in the land of Egypt before I came unto thee into Egypt, are mine. As Reuben and Simeon, they shall be mine. And thy issue which thou begettest after them shall be thine, and shall be called after the name of their brethren in their inheritance. And as for me, when I came from Padan, Rachel died by me in the land of Canaan in the way, when yet there was but a little way to come unto Ephrath. And I buried her there in the way of Ephrath, the same as Bethlehem. And Israel beheld Joseph's sons, and said, Who are these? And Joseph said unto his father, They are my sons, whom God hath given me in this place. And he said, Bring them, I pray thee, unto me, and I will bless them. Now the eyes of Israel were dim for age, so that he could not see. And he brought them near unto him, and he kissed them, and embraced them. And Israel said unto Joseph, I had not thought to see thy face, and lo, God hath shown me also thy seed. And Joseph brought them out from between his knees, and he bowed himself with his face to the earth. And Joseph took them both, Ephraim in his right hand toward Israel's left hand, and Manasseh in his left hand toward Israel's right hand, and brought them near unto him. And Israel stretched out his right hand, and laid it upon Ephraim's head, who was the younger, and his left hand upon Manasseh's head, guiding his hands wittingly, for Manasseh was the firstborn. And he blessed Joseph and said, God, before whom my fathers Abraham and Isaac did walk, the God which fed me all my life long unto this day, the angel which redeemed me from all evil, bless the lads, and let my name be named on them, and the name of my fathers Abraham and Isaac, and let them grow into a multitude in the midst of the earth. And when Joseph saw that his father laid his right hand upon the head of Ephraim, it displeased him, and he held up his father's hand to remove it from Ephraim's head unto Manasseh's head. And Joseph said unto his father, Not so, my father, for this is the firstborn. Put thy right hand upon his head. And father refused and said, I know it, my son, I know it. He also shall become a people, and he also shall be great. But truly his younger brother shall be greater than he, and his seed shall become a multitude of nations. And he blessed them that day, saying, In thee shall Israel bless, saying, God make thee as Ephraim and as Manasseh. And he set Ephraim before Manasseh. And Israel said unto Joseph, Behold, I die, but God shall be with you, and bring you again unto the land of your fathers. Moreover, I have given to thee one portion above thy brethren, which I took out of the hand of the Amorite with my sword and with my bow.
Yes, top of the AM source. That concludes, that concludes the morning ministry. We know we have a full slate. That's what we doing over here, man. These guys are late, but the vision is unfolding. Yes, the media empire, Showtime Shot News Media Empire. That concludes the morning programming of the Good Word. Like I said, we are the new BET. We are the new VH1. We are the new CBS, ABC. You think it, believe it, achieve it. Yes, this is the source, Showtime Shot News Media. Like I said, a full slate on the plate today. Sports, entertainment, ministry, you name it, the source delivers. And man, they thought I was just all about boxing. Go figure. Like my daughter would say in close, I'm mad. Yeah. Tap in 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Source Talk Podcast. I might bring out a couple of guests. You know, we got a lot to discuss. A lot to discuss. But as always, always remember, keep God first. Never put a limitation on what you can and can't do. And consistency is key. Break away from naysayers and people who aren't supporting or don't see the vision, because eventually they will see it, whether they acknowledge it or don't, you know. But always gravitate to the support and pull away from I thought. You understand? I'll break that down from pull away from the ones that move like they thought this or they thought that, and gravitate to the support. See, because everybody's not going to support you. Some will support you from far, right? From far. See that from far? What I mean by far is they will just be watching, hoping that you fall off, hoping that you don't make it. Others will support because they see what's going on. Like, shout out to my team. We have so many people coming out the woodworks now trying to be a part of the Jihad Tucker source, but they didn't see the vision. Definitely check out some of the work that the company has done behind the scenes with Jihad Tucker, Road to Greatness. We talked about that 2 years ago, 3 years ago when we were saying, and now you are witnessing that unfold. Shout out to Sam Watson. Oh, Slithery Sam. You heard what he said about the sauce. No, you tell your fighters, pay me my money. which they owe me, because you can't steal from the righteous and prosper. Hopefully, y'all caught that sauce.
Yo, man, it's your Hot Tucker, man. The real GOAT, LeBron Donner the game, man. Shout out to the Sauce Talk podcast. Shout out my man Showtime Shot. If you ain't know, now you know. Hear about it.
Screw you. That's right.
Bob. Bob. There you go, Bob. 1-2. Nice, Bob.
Like, subscribe, and hit that bell.